Hi, my name is Emily, and this is Indie Book Reviews. Hello, I hope you're doing well today. If it's your first time here, welcome. If it's not, welcome back. Today we're talking about a book that's a little bit different than what I've already done, which is kind of my goal for this channel. I don't want to keep reading the same stuff over and over again. I want to get a variety of different genres. That being said, today we are reviewing another fantasy. This week's book is The Last Light of Edgewood by Luke Boswell. In my own words, is a cozy coming-of-age fantasy that I would probably say is middle grade. If I were to put it somewhere in a bookstore, I would probably consider it middle grade, just because of the characters, the way that it reads, and the content that's in it. But do not let that deter you if you are only an adult fantasy reader. Have you read Harry Potter? There's your answer. Stay tuned. I loved this book because it was calming in a way that most fantasy that I read isn't. We're so used to these high stakes, fast-paced adventure, life on the line type stuff. And I'm not saying that the characters in this book didn't have their life on the line, because they most certainly did, but maybe it was the writing style that was just so cozy. I don't know. I can't think of any better way to describe it. For a quick synopsis, we are following the story of Oren and Esvin, who are respectively 11 and about 16 years old, as they discover a sort of darkness in their village of Edgewood and try to unfold it, so it's a little bit mysterious, and obviously fight off the dangers. They have the help of their town's lighthouse keeper, aka the Keeper of Light, or Keeper of the Light, Wendell Stringfellow. I love that character. He's so cool. I love the lighthouse. I love the setting of Edgewood. It is comforting. It is like a fairy tale, which kind of goes into the writing style, so we're just going to jump right into it. So starting off with writing quality, per usual, which I rate out of 5 stars, we have a 4.7. The writing style made this story. It meant everything to the structure of the story. The author's writing style is very simple and easy to read, but it's also clear and concise and comforting. The best way that I can describe this writing is that it feels to me like the low, comforting voice of a narrator in a Christmas movie. I know that's very specific. That's just what it reminds me of. Edgewood has very fairy tale vibes, and I really couldn't tell you why, except the fact that it is just cozy and I want to live there. I want to jump into the book. Evils aside, I would live in Edgewood. Also, just because I have to note it, the way that the author wrote the mind of a child was incredible. Oren is 11 years old, and every time you read from his sort of perspective, it's written in third person, but every time you sort of followed him, it was so obviously a child. Without spoiling anything, there's an instance where he gets really upset about something so minute and throws a tantrum and is like, I'm running away, and then he runs away and he's like, well, it's kind of cold out here. This probably wasn't a good idea. And then even though there's a danger to his entire village and other children, he's like, I can't tell anybody though, because I don't want to get in trouble. It's so well done. Even Esvin, who's, a teenager, he's learning responsibility. He has his first job. He is looking up to the Keeper of the Light because they're orphans and he doesn't have a father to look up to. The way that he thinks about his relationships and his responsibilities and growing up, it's very much like a 16-year-old. So I just felt that the author did a really good job with writing these characters. It also just made it so much more entertaining to read. I'm so used to seeing these uber mature children that know how to express their feelings and speak in full sentences with words like, I don't know, I can't think of a big word right now. You know what I mean? I don't know. I feel like I see that a lot, and I just kind of appreciated that these children were very much childlike. Moving on to plot, we have this at a 4.6. I already sort of started going into some of my points about the plot when I'm talking about Esvin and his relationship with the Keeper of the Light, aka his boss, aka Stringfellow. There is a large theme of companionship in this book, because Oren and Esvin are considered brothers, even though I don't think they're actually related. And you see how they sort of find companionship in others, or in with one of the girls from another family in the town. He sort of searches for that sense of belonging, like Esmond does with Stringfellow. Despite the evil, despite their loneliness, it is still, to me at least, a feel-good story. They come together, they're never not there for one another, and they really learn what it's like to be able to depend on somebody other than themselves. By the end of the book, everything worked out well. It did have a happy ending, although we didn't get too much of an ending. This is going to be a series, so it ended enough where I don't feel like I'm missing anything, but of course there's always more that can happen. This evilness, I will say, obviously spoiler-free reviews, so I'm trying not to give anything away, but this evilness that sort of takes over their town, the details of it are unveiled over time. It's not like everything at once and then you have to figure out this puzzle. It's sort of like a mystery in that way, where they keep uncovering clues and then they come together with different clues because everybody's finding out something on their own, and then they finally get to talking and they're like, why didn't you tell me this sooner? It was fun to wait and see how everything would come together. And speaking of how everything came together, I have a note 12 pages until the end of the book that just says, how is he going to end this? How is this possibly going to write itself in 12 pages? And it does. I absolutely loved the way that this ended, because it's one of those times where there was a detail noted, 6 chapters ago that you forget until it comes up again. And that's so riveting. It just feels so good to be like, oh my god, I thought we were doomed, but we're not. That's how the end of this book felt. And obviously they wound up saving the day, and not everything was fine and dandy, but it was pretty much fine and dandy. I'll consider it a feel good because it ended well. Onto characters. I've already kind of went into characters a little bit because of the plot and the themes that I really like, but I have characters rated at a 5. I have 0 notes. I have 0 qualms. There's absolutely nothing I dislike about any of the characters in the story. I love them all. I already mentioned how I really liked how they were written. And my favorite character was the Keeper of the Light, Stringfellow. He was my grandfather, I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I want to sit in his living room while he makes stew over the fire and sit in a rocking chair and read with him. I want to jump into this story. I already basically explained most of my notes because, I don't know, I guess I couldn't wait to get it out. But all of the characters had their specific places, their roles. The way they intertwined was very heartwarming. They all needed something from one another. They all could give something to each other. There were no wasted characters. There was really just nothing I didn't like. I didn't thoroughly enjoy. They're great characters, and I could read about them going on a bunch of different adventures throughout multiple books. And to keep the ball rolling, we have creativity out of 5. For anybody that's new here, when I say creativity, I mean uniqueness, and have I read this before? Obviously, all books are creative. You have to be creative to write anything, really. To do much, you really need to be creative. But let me explain why this is a 5. Every single thing in this book was unique. The entire plot was unique. A Keeper of the Light, the way that they use the lighthouse, the relationships that they have, the writing of a child and these childlike behaviors and the childlike decision making, along with the main plot, these embodiments of evil, the black herons? Here. I know how to speak English. The blackbirds and the hounds and the bears. I can't think of a single book that I've read where it's similar to what I read here. Not one. And let's take a moment to talk about Edgewood. In fantasy, we're used to the castles, the cobblestone streets, the classy areas closer to the inner city. I mean, I wrote it, right? So I know what I'm saying. Edgewood is just a cozy village at what seems like the edge of the world. It's on cliffs. That's what I mean by the edge of the world. It has very small town vibes, huge community. They all celebrate every weekend at these markets, and they have, oh my god, what is it called? Cathedral, where they get told, they bring all the kids and they get told stories in the library because it's snowing outside. They have a chestnut festival because it's cold. So sweet. Okay, and something that I noted was that there were so many specific details about Edgewood, especially when describing the surroundings, describing the setting. I could tell that the author has lived in this world, in their brain. Like, this is where they go to. If you've read the Bone season, this is their dreamscape. Like, this is the author's dreamscape. And I want to be in Edgewood. I want to live in this little town on the coast with a lighthouse and libraries and kids throwing snowballs at each other. I just want to be there. So I thought Edgewood was very creative. So since I'm getting so passionate about it, let's talk about my overall feeling, which was a 4.8. The Last Light of Edgewood felt so different to me. And let me explain what I mean. I consume books like a kid with a gallon of ice cream in front of them. I shove it all in my brain and then move on to the next one and shove that one down and then move to the next one. It doesn't help that I'm trying to hit 100 books this year, which I'm not actually sure if I'm going to do. I was on track until I wasn't. I read books in a day or two, and by the time I'm halfway through, I'm just trying to get it done so I can move on to the next one. Not that I'm not thoroughly enjoying it, but there's just so many books on my list that I want to read. I'm constantly craving to read another book that I just can't help but consume them so fast so I can get through all of them and get to everything that I want to get to. That took way too long to explain. Anyway, this book made me feel the opposite. Never in my life, and I seriously mean this, never in my life have I read a book and actively thought to myself, I should slow down. I should slow down. I should enjoy every word on this page. I shouldn't skim any of it, and I should really just live in this world for a little longer than I'm used to. This book made me want to slow down. It reminded me that I should slow down every now and then, just to appreciate a story a little bit better. Did I still read it very fast? Yeah. It was good. It's less than 300 pages, so I'm going to consider that to be on the shorter side. So I read it within I'm going to say 3 days, maybe 4. But considering I just read another book in under 48 hours, I'm going to consider that slowing down. But also, as I already said, it is a comfy fairy tale to me. That's what this felt like. And sometimes in the midst of books like Kingdom of Ash and the Bone season, which I just finished, The Mask Falling, and it is starting to get to be too much for me. I need a book like this to slow me down and just let my brain play a movie, you know? I don't know, I needed something like this. A breath of fresh winter Edgewood air. So, wrapping everything up, the average out of 5 stars was a 4.82. This was a book I didn't know I needed. So thank you. Now I did read this on Kindle Unlimited, so if you're a KU person, add it to your TBR. Otherwise, you can get it on Amazon. It does have a great cover. I kind of love the cover, so if you want to get a physical copy of it, you should do that. And obviously, I'll put all the links down below. This is the part where I absolutely recommend The Last Light of Edgewood by Luke Boswell. Now, review over. I do just want to make a note because I did get some new subscribers, thanks Threads. I just wanted to make a few points about my channel, especially because I've sort of changed a little bit since I started making the videos, just because I realized, what I can and can't do. What I can do is post every other week. I absolutely love recommendations. If it is a self-recommendation, doesn't make a difference to me, send it my way. That being said, I posted on Threads about the channel and I got well over 100 recommendations. Unfortunately, I cannot read that many books. I absolutely wish that I could read every single book that is recommended to me. That way I could tell you how great it is. I just don't have the mental capacity. I don't think anybody has the mental capacity to read over 100 books, quickly. I'm trying to read 100 books in this year, and I don't think that's going to happen. I will be trying to do all sorts of genre fiction. I want to be able to show readers of all sorts of fiction good recommendations. And also, just because I think this is really important and somebody asked me about it on Threads, people don't pay me for me to do these reviews. You say, here's my book, and I say, oh, looks good, I'm gonna read it and I'm gonna review it. I'm gonna cut you some slack. I'm not gonna make you pay $500 for me to make a video about your book, especially when I have 54 subscribers as of this afternoon. Even when I have 1,000 or 10,000 or 1,000,000, it doesn't matter to me. I will never, ever, ever have somebody pay me to do a book review of their book. My stance is that my opinion cannot be bought. I'm doing this because I like it. I'm telling you about The Last Light of Edgewood because I loved the book. And just to be clear, I'm not lying about any of the books that I like on here. I like them because I like them. I read them thoroughly and I like them. There are absolutely books in this world that I do not like, but there is so much negativity on the internet that I will not be telling you about them. So this is a positive place. I want this channel to feel like Edgewood, okay? And also, being a reader and trying to find a good indie book can be frustrating. It's not like you can go in Barnes & Noble and browse the shelves and look for it. You kind of have to search them out. I want to become a library for people looking for indie books, where you can browse by genre, see if it has the tropes that you like maybe, and download it. I want this to be a recommendation from a friend. Okay, now my spiel is finally over. Anyway, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you hit like and subscribe. Comment if you have any recommendations or if you have anything to add. If you read these books, absolutely comment. Tell me that you read it. Tell me what you think. And just keep reading. Keep having fun. Have a great day. Bye.